Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Season 14, Episode 10 of Sportsing. I'm your host, Nick Kaufman, and I'm joined today by Carlo Jimenez and Courtney Wise. We have an exciting episode for everyone today. Welcome to the show, you two.
Glad to be on. Let's do it.
All right, we're going to get right into our first topic. The NCAA Women's Soccer Tournament brackets were just released a couple days ago, and USC comes in as the 8th seed. What do you see them doing in the tournament?
I think it's so exciting that USC women's soccer is in the tournament now. I think they've got to where they want to be, but I know that I don't think they're hungry enough to go all the way into the tournament. And so I think that women's soccer will go out of the tournament a little early. My prediction is third round against Duke. And so, yeah.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you there, Courtney. I think it's tough to go for a team's mentality on your opening take. I mean, saying they're not hungry, that's taking big shots early. This is a USC team that started slow. I mean, they had a lot of expectations coming into the year. 3 Mac Herman watch list players, which is like the Heisman in women's soccer, which is insane to think about. You have 3 on the same team, and they lost 3 of their first 6 games. But in their last 7 games, they have tied 3 times, won 4 times, 2 of those draws coming against number 3 UCLA. If anything, this is a team that is hungry, that's on the right track, that's really peaked at the right time, and a favorable bracket in their way. I think they have a chance to go a long way this NCAA tournament.
Yeah, they're a strong team through and through. As Will mentioned, they had 3 elite players on their team that were up for the Heisman of women's soccer. And you look, they have Penelope Hawking, Tara McKeown, elite producing goal scorers on the team. Come tournament time, you need goals, you need exciting players who can be difference makers. USC's roster is littered with them. I'm basically throwing out the regular season. Yes, they had their struggles, but this is a fresh, clean slate for them. They're finding their form, they're finding their stride, and they have those key difference makers that every championship team needs.
Yeah, but I don't buy it. They have all these key players like McCowan. And so what I'm I guess my point is that they need to be consistent throughout their games. They need to be able to handle the ball well, and which I don't think they've shown during the regular season. And so going into this tournament, they need to be more aggressive with their ball handling skills.
I mean, this is a team that is playing really well right now, Courtney. I understand they need to be aggressive, but come tournament time, right? It doesn't matter what you did in the regular season. The regular season is just preparation for the tournament. Nobody, the whole season can change if you play well in this next couple of months. For USC, you play a Pac-12 where teams have seen Tara McKeown and Penelope Hawking for the past 3 years. They're very familiar with this offense. All of a sudden, you play teams who have no idea who they are, and they have their game plan is not as thoroughly felt out. I think the Trojans have a real chance to get the offense going and really blitz some teams early and go far in this tournament. I just think at the end of the day, teams are not as familiar with one of the better duos in all of Pac-12 women's soccer that we've seen.
Yeah, Courtney, how do you respond to that? I think Will definitely makes sorry, not Will, Carlo. I've got everyone mixed up in my head right now. It's been a while since I've been on Sportsing. Sorry, Carlo.
All good.
Courtney, Carlo made some really great points right there about the Pac-12 is familiar playing with, Penelope Hawking, Tara McKeown. How are other teams going to be able to play against this when they haven't seen them maybe ever?
Yeah, I think that it all comes down to confidence and resilience. If women's soccer can be confident throughout the tournament, but I see other teams going way farther than USC because of their confidence, like Bowling Green.
Okay, would you not be confident if you tied the defending national champions and UCLA twice, and Penelope Hawking didn't even play the final 80 minutes against UCLA? How are you not confident? You've played toe and toe with the top teams in women's soccer in the regular season, and you've been a shot that's off the bar away from winning those games. I can't think of a more confident team. Listen, you want to play your best soccer right now, here in late April, going into May. That's what they're doing. They're peaking up. Sure, they didn't win those games, but they're right there.
Yeah, Courtney, what do you have to say to that?
Yeah, I'm going to have to slightly disagree with you. Yeah, USC has their ups and downs, but I think that going into this tournament, USC really needs to bring out they need to be consistent with the ball. They need to be able to make strategic plays. And so I just don't see that with USC.
So what do you think, Carlo? What do you think is the biggest strength of this USC team? Obviously, their depth. Does it come from their depth, the talent they have, is it their production in terms of scoring goals? Is it their defense? What are their strong pieces you think that are going to carry them to victory?
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be the offense. And this is a team that has to score a lot of goals to win games. You talk about Hawking, Mickione. Savannah DeMello is also a great goal scorer. She was the third player on the Matt Kerman watch list. The question for me, Nick, when it comes to what I'm worried about this team is their back line and that defense. They've played a couple of players, Katie Roditas and Isabel Rowley this is their first year playing with the team. One's a freshman, one was injured last year. So at times we've seen them on that back line a little inexperienced, but I think that's lends its hand to why they're peaking right now, because these girls have played 14 games. They have that experience. And so now's an opportunity to show that, we've played a full season, one of the tougher conferences in women's soccer. And now we're going against teams that aren't familiar with how we play. And here's an opportunity to really show what you've learned throughout the season.
Yeah, and I think that's a very undervalued thing, especially in soccer. I grew up playing a defender as well in soccer. And so one of the most underrated aspects is the relationship you have with your defensive partners. And it takes a while to get in a groove, get in a flow, understand what they like, what they don't like, how they play, how you play, when to go in, when to stay back. And so I think, what you're saying right there is really kind of a key point and something that needs to be watched for USC. I think a lot of their tournament hinges on that back line, how well they can gel, how well they can come together. And if they're in unison, if they're looking as strong as they have the last couple of weeks, I think I have to agree with Carlo on this one. We're going to be the best team in the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, you look at this team last year, they lost to North Carolina in the semifinals in a game where Penelope Hawking played with 13 stitches in her right leg. And they lost by 1 goal. And North Carolina went and became the runner-up, losing to Stanford in the national championship. This team knows how to turn it on when they need to. They have the experience. They have the talent. It's just a question if they can put it together. I mean, we're not talking about some magical run. USC being an 8 seed was a surprise to a lot of people, and they lost 3 games earlier in the year. They didn't play super well as much as people expected. But I think the committee notices, hey, when this team plays well, they have a real shot at beating anybody, and I think that's why they're going to go far in this tournament. The bracket works out for them. If they were to win their first 2 games, they play number 1 Florida State, who they beat last year with this pretty much essentially the same roster. I can't see them taking an early round exit. I just think they're too talented.
Yeah, so Courtney, what is it about USC that is going to make them lose early on that you believe?
I believe that the teams that they're going against in the tournament, whoever wins first round, either Bowling Green or Ole Miss, might take them out too. And as well as Duke, I know my bets are on Duke for beating USC in the 3rd round. And so I just think that USC just doesn't have it in them to go far enough throughout this tournament.
All right, well, only time will tell who is right in this debate between Carlo and Courtney, and I kind of inserted myself at the end. But that's all the time we have for women's soccer. We're going to be moving on. This is my favorite episode so far. We're talking about soccer. Now we're going to go to tennis. I'm loving this. So this weekend is the Pac-12 tournament for both the men's and women's. They'll be making the trip down to San Diego. The men come in as the 3rd seed in the tournament, and the women come in as the 5th seed in the tournament. So who does USC need to have step up in this weekend in order to succeed and have, a deep run in the tournament?
Yeah, I'll start with the men's side. I think Riley Smith really needs to continue to play well for USC. Right now, he's at a 15-3, third most wins on the team. But your best guys have to play well, and Smith alongside Dostich and Daniel Kirkman, they've been really good this year. If you win the doubles match, you have to win 3 singles matches. Trojans are going to need Smith to step up and really play well in the tournament in San Diego.
Yeah, and what about you, Courtney? Who do you have for the
Yeah.
men's that needs to step up?
Yeah, and I think Daniel Kucherman definitely needs to step up. Like I think he needs to be pulling his weight on the team. It's his 4th season at USC. He was ranked number 1 in the nation and held a 26-2 overall singles record. And so, with his experience and expertise, I think he really needs to step up to the plate to help his team win.
I love it. These are some great, insightful tennis analysis from you two, Carlo and Courtney. This is making my day. I completely agree with both of you. Courtney, you make a great point about Daniel. He was number 1 in the country. He's been struggling a bit this season with injuries, and so I think we're starting to see him round into form. And what you were saying as well, Carlo, Riley's been one of the vocal leaders on this team. He's a 5th-year senior, and he's really been pulling his weight this year and making that next step that he needed to. He's the highest ranked player on the team actually right now, and he's playing phenomenal tennis. He actually just had a big win against Drew Baird of UCLA just this past weekend, who had beaten him 2 times earlier this season. Daniel had a dominant win against Govinanda of UCLA as well. So you're starting to see these guys sort of round into form, play their game, and yeah, I agree with both of you guys. Those are players that really, if they pull their weight, I think it'll be a fairly easy win for the Trojans in San Diego this weekend. But we're going to flip it now briefly to the women's side. Who needs to step up for them?
For me, it's Erin Cayetano.
Cayetano, yeah.
Cayetano. I think that she definitely needs to bring up her expertise to the team. She had a stellar debut freshman year last year, even though the coronavirus cut out half of the season. And so Cayetano went 11-4 overall in singles and 9-3 in dual matches. And so I think that she really needs to pull up her own weight for the team so that they could win.
Yeah, I think for me it's going to be Naomi Chang. I mean, when you go play in the tournament, intensity picks up. Tennis is a mental game, right? You have to be mentally sharp, and teams are going to look towards who's playing the best, who's the leader on the team, for some stability. Because I mean, you can get in your own head, and things can go sideways really quick. Chang is the highest ranked player on the team, continues to set the tone day in and day out, and for her to come out and play well first, and the Trojans see hey, this might be the tournament, but our best player is still playing her best. I think that will calm everyone else down. I think be huge in helping the Trojans secure a championship.
Yeah, and the women of Troy, they have a very strong top 3 of their singles lineup. You have Salma Ewing, and as you guys were saying, Erin and Naomi, all 3 very strong, dominant players, and they're all interchangeable in that 1, 2, or 3 spot. You could see them play anywhere. It's very much a matchup nightmare, and I think it comes down to the coach as well, figuring out who to put where. Right now, Salma Ewing, she's on a tremendous win streak. She's undefeated in dual matches as the number 1 player, and so I think they need to continue to ride this hot streak. Erin, as you're saying, she's a spark plug of a player, very aggressive, very physical. She's not the biggest player, but she plays way past her size, way bigger. She's a very assertive, physical, dominant player who, if she can use that, especially in the tournament when it's day after day, match after match, it can come in handy and is a real weapon for the Trojans. And then, as you're saying with Naomi, she's just a freshman coming in, impressing everyone, blowing off the socks, highest ranked player on the team in singles. And she's lost her form a little bit the last couple of weeks, but at the beginning of the season, she was off to a flying start. If she can pick up on that flying start that she had, I think we'll be seeing her move into in a positive direction, making great contributions to this team. And, if you can get those 3 wins, you just need 1 more point from doubles or from the bottom 3 of the lineup.
Yeah, for me, the only concern I have about Naomi is her record as that 1 seed. I mean, 1-3, and then you go to the 2 seed, she's 6-2. As a freshman, it kind of feels like, maybe that pressure of coming in is like, hey, you're our best player. Let's see what you can do against their best player. Kind of gets to her a little bit. So maybe as the season goes on, she settles down. But it will be interesting to see. I think as much as it is a physical game, like I said, it's a mental game, and so can the freshman lead her team? I mean, she'll probably be a 2 or a 3 seed. You expect those players to play really well and win those games. It'll be interesting to see how she does in her first round.
Yeah, that's a great point right there, Carlos. She really, I think we saw her struggle at the one spot. It's a difficult transition going from the juniors to college tennis, and I think what the coaches did early on, they understood and saw she's struggling in that top spot. Maybe it's a little too much pressure for her. Let's ease it back, put her at 2 or 3, maybe get an easier matchup there as well, and really let her play her game and put someone like Salma, who's experienced, in that top position and really let things flow. What about you, Courtney? What do you have on, Erin? What does she need to do this tournament?
Yeah, I think with Erin, I think she needs to be a little bit more aggressive. I know she's not the biggest player on the team, but I think she needs to up her confidence and to be more aggressive with her singles and double matches in order for the team to be successful. And so, yeah.
Yeah, and so, shifting from the women's back to the men's, I mean, they started the season #1 team in the country. They've had a litany of injuries. The list goes on and on and on, and it seems like they could never catch a break. Now we're finally seeing them healthy. They finally have a fully established lineup. They know who they want to play, where they want to play them. I think early on we were seeing a lot of experimentation, a lot of mixing and matching because, it's early season. They didn't get an off season to really work out those kinks. And then secondly, also, you're dealing with injuries. Guys are missing practice, guys are missing matches, and you have to really work around that. And so finally, now that the team is starting to get healthy again, they have an established lineup. We're going to really see them. I think they're going to roll straight through the tournament on through NCAAs and win a national title.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a little bit similarity there. You start the season rocky between tennis and women's soccer, but once you settle in and guys can get comfortable, it just opens the doors for people to play at their top level when they know, like, okay, I'm coming into this weekend. I know where I'm playing. I played well the past couple of weekends, and now it's just time to show the work I've put in, rather than coming in a little rocky and like maybe guys are injured. Usually you see those injuries at the end of the year, but for the Trojans to be settling in towards the end part, to be injured in the beginning and now settling in at the end, I think that really helps them out.
Yeah. What do you have to say, Courtney? Yeah, you go ahead.
Yeah. I was just going to say that I think that, with men's tennis, they just need to be confident in their skills and experience. They have a lot of experience. They have a lot of guys that are just outstanding on the team and that have won a lot of awards and honors. And so I just think that men's tennis will do really good in the future. And so yeah.
Yeah, no, I think you guys made excellent points. I love it. Finally getting sports team to talk about tennis. Dream come true. And, you guys, you were right, especially Courtney, at the end. SC, the men's team, has experience. They won national indoors last season before COVID cut everything out. They were the clear and obvious favorites to win the national championship. This is a team that has experience. They know how to win. It was just a matter of all the pieces coming together, everyone settling, getting healthy. And now that they're trending in that direction, I think that everyone will finally get to see how strong USC men's tennis truly is. And as for the women, they have the lineup, they have the players, especially in that top 3 in singles, to compete with anyone they come with. And while they are seated lower, they certainly have, I don't want to say upset potential because they're a solid team, but they can knock off the big hitters like Stanford, like UCLA. So I think it will be a very successful weekend down in San Diego at Barnes for the tennis teams. And that concludes our tennis segment, my favorite part. And we're going to move on. I have a hot take for everyone. And I want to preface it with everyone knows now, at least should know, about the ESL that was founded on Sunday, the European Super League, which basically corrupted soccer. It wanted to just destroy, dismantle, and basically was just a money grab from all the owners. You look, all the teams who were involved with it, they were only doing it for the money. It was disgusting. It goes against every value that soccer holds. I'm myself a massive Chelsea supporter. My brother's a massive Manchester City supporter. Both of these teams were involved in this. We were ready to burn our jerseys. We both texted each other and said, "Is it cool if I burn the jersey you bought me? Because I'm over this." It was a disgusting feeling for those 48 hours when the ESL was going on. And now teams are going to have to deal with the repercussions of it. And so that's coming to my take. Chelsea, Real Madrid, and Manchester City are all in the semifinals of the UEFA Champions League coming up. I think all three of those teams are going to be kicked out of the tournament, and they're going to get replaced by three teams that weren't a part of the Super League. So I think we're going to see those three teams kicked out, and Dortmund, Atalanta, and Porto should be the teams to replace them, and these teams should be kicked out. They violated the integrity of the sport of soccer. They need to face repercussions for their actions. Yes, they've pulled out now, but they still need to face consequences for their actions. And the only way to really give these teams a just punishment is to remove them from the Champions League this season. And this is coming from a Chelsea fan. I want my team to win the Champions League. They don't deserve to this year after what they did on Sunday and on Monday and on the early parts of Tuesday. They don't deserve to be a part of the Champions League. All three of these teams should be taken out immediately.
Yeah, I'm going to have to disagree. I think, maybe it's the right thing to do, but we have to remember what drives sports, right? And what drove the Super League? Money, right? And what's going to drive ratings for the Champions League? Money. And teams want to see the best teams playing in the semifinal games. I can't imagine a time where, okay, you signed a contract for a league that's not going to happen. Sure, that probably wasn't the best thing to do, but are we really going to punish everyone, soccer fans, who want to see the best teams compete by not allowing them to play in something they rightfully earned, and punish players who weren't a part of the decision to sign in the Super League? I mean, really, that's what we're punishing, fans and players who had no say in the decision of the management of the clubs to sign into the Super League. I just think that's a little harsh on people who had no control over their situation.
Yeah, first of all, I'm going to have to agree with Carlo. But first of all, I think that, forming the ESL Super League, it's not really a sports story. It's more of a media story. It's more for publicity and television deals. And so I don't think that, Chelsea, the Real Madrid, and Manchester City will be kicked out of the Champions League because not only will it affect, players and like fans and people who watch soccer, but I think that, forming this ultimate Super League might have its benefits later on. So
I can't believe you just said that, Courtney. You're breaking. Just everything in my body is screaming right now. The Super League is trying to close off the sport of soccer to everyone in Europe. To put it in American terms, or into, American sports terms, this is like Alabama, USC, Florida, Oklahoma, Texas, and Notre Dame saying, you know what? I'm not playing in this conference anymore. Screw these other teams. We're going to start our own league with our own playoffs, and we're going to be the real national champions. Why? Because we're the biggest, we're the best brands. Suddenly the days of, an upset win in Tuscaloosa, gone. Suddenly the Cinderella team that maybe, has a great run, gone. Same thing in basketball. This is ruining. This was a move to destroy soccer at its core. At its core, soccer is a sport about, first of all, winning and being promoted and receiving rewards on merit. This isn't like football where you get rewarded to lose. If you lose, you get relegated. What this wants to do is ensure that all these teams can't get relegated from the Super League. What they want is they're guaranteed to play, they get their guaranteed paychecks, and then nothing happens. If they lose, they're bad. Guess what? Who cares? They still get their $400 million check at the end of the day. That's not what the sport is about. You say, no one wants to watch these non-elite teams. Porto, Dortmund were in the quarterfinals of the Champions League. They just lost to Manchester City and Chelsea, barely as well. You look at Atalanta, they made it to the Champions League knockout stages as well. These aren't bad teams. These are elite teams in Europe as well. They just don't have the massive greed and disdain or clear, blatant disregard for this infrastructure that soccer provides for not just the top teams, but the lower league teams. It's absolutely disgusting and atrocious, the Super League. These teams need to be punished. And I know you guys say the past is the past, but this can't be forgotten because soccer fans were this close to losing what they love so much about the sport.
I mean, I'd agree, right? The ESL, that even if you have billions of dollars and you have any advisor you want, you can still make really poor decisions. But to punish the guys who worked so hard to get there and to punish the fans who supported their teams, I can't see that justifiable for signing something that didn't even happen. Sure, a group of general managers supported a league, right? But did the guys who scored the goals support the league? No. Did the fans who supported the team support the league? No. And to punish them on that, I just feel like that's a little harsh. I can't see that justifiable. Sure, maybe in a way, if you could fine owners, right? If you could fine management of these teams and say, you, sir, you signed this contract, you owe us money. But to punish the team overall when 3 or 4 people really had a hand in this decision, that's a little much for me. I'm going to have to disagree.
Courtney, do you have anything?
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with Carlo. I don't think why should you punish the 3 teams that signed on to the Super League in the first place? Like, it was their decision. And also, like, why did they kill the integrity so much within these competitions so much? And so, I mean, I still think that there might be, like an uncertain future in the current UEFA competitions for like the 12 clubs. But I just don't think that you should, punish the 3 teams that first signed on to the league. So,
well, they should be punished, first of all, because they were willing to be a part of this. And I don't think any fan, I don't even think some of the players might be disappointed, but no fan would be disappointed if they saw these teams kicked out of the Champions League, because at the end of the day, they'll still be entitled to the check that they get, to the cash prize that's involved with reaching the semifinals or the finals of the Champions League. We're guaranteed to have at least one of these teams that wanted to undercut all of soccer, undercut the entire tournament, play in the finals. That's not right. And as for why it's killing the integrity of the game, what the Super League does, or what it intended to do, was basically keep all the money at the top and give no opportunities for lower ranked teams. What people don't understand is a lot of the money, these teams could be making more money from the Champions League, but a lot of that money gets diverted to the lower leagues of those national leagues. And so I'm sure you guys are all familiar with Leicester City a couple of years ago when they won the Premier League and then made it into the Champions League. That would never be able to happen again because it's a closed doors tournament for the teams with all the money. The integrity of the game is about rewarding, like I said, rewarding and punishing success and failure. And this undercuts all of that and turns it into a European version of the NBA, a European version of the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Super League is bad, but we can't say the Champions League is like the greatest thing ever. It formed in '92. We saw Liverpool make the final 4 times in the span of 14 years. Like, there are clearly still giants in soccer, and yes, those giants support smaller clubs, but they still take in a huge amount of money. So signing on to the Super League wall might look like a cardinal sin compared to what's already happening in the Champions League, where teams are with a lot of money are already pulling in a lot of money, paying their players a lot of money, and I mean, things are, when you have a lot, when the richer are getting richer through the Champions League at the end of the day. And yes, the richer will be getting more rich with the Super League, but it's not. I can't see. It's not that huge of a problem, because if you look at it.
No. That's where it is a problem, though, because you say Liverpool reached 4 finals in 14 years. Last season, Lyon, tiny club from France. They reached the semifinals. 2 years before that, Ajax, tiny club from the Netherlands who wasn't invited. They reached the semifinals. Borussia Dortmund in 2012, 2013, they reached the finals of the tournament. Every single year, Monaco in 2016, 2017, they also had a deep run into the semifinals. We see it every single year in the Champions League. There's always one or two teams that are able to make this deep run, receive those benefits, and then invest it into their club and hopefully become more successful. And that's what makes it so exciting. That's the essence of the Champions League. It's a free-for-all. No one knows who's going to win it. And the Super League really just try to undercut all that. These teams need to be punished. And unfortunately, that is all the time we have for today's show. I think I could go on forever about how bad the ESL is and was. But that's it for today's show. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Annenberg Media Sports. And join us next week, same time, same place, for our season finale.